It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, Light Forex Social Trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.
Hello, good afternoon. It's the 3rd of April 2019. It's a minute past 2 CET time. Piotr here, and this is the New York market coverage, live market coverage. We are going to check what is going on at the beginning of the New York session. Before we start, as usual, the risk warning. Guys, please bear in mind, trading FX, trading crypto on margin carries a high level of risk, may not be suitable for investors. You can sustain a loss of some or all your initial investment, so please do not invest the money that you cannot afford to lose. All right, so we do have finally a little bit of the dollar weakness. We do have euro dollar testing this week high, so means we take out the weekly open. That's what we were discussing that morning. That's what we were discussing yesterday. We do have a little bit of the pound weakness, and basically there is a combination of the weak PMI in services in relation to the possible supply. We discussed it again yesterday, today. Then finally dollar yen higher, so we took out stops above 111.50 and we were even above 11.54. Fortunately, that's what we discussed today. I was able, because of this lack of rejection from the intraday supply, I was able to cut my bag. So so what we are waiting for today, what we are gonna to do today, that's the good question. So overall we are awaiting ADP within the next 12 minutes. So that's, you know, that's some kind of the preparation for the Friday non-farm payrolls. All right, that's the one thing. The second thing, 3:45 and 4 CET, we do have final services PMI and ISM non-manufacturing PMI. Especially the ISM non-manufacturing is quite important, and this time looks like market expectations are a little more than a little bit, are lower than what we get last time, 59.7 last time, 58.1 this time. So looks like the ADP and then ISM both as a key dollar driver during the New York session. That's how I see the things. So we have this a little bit dollar weakness, and we were discussing it based on the euro dollar, for example. But still, if we wanted to focus, let's start on euro dollar. Still, that's we did as a bulls, we did 2 steps, meaning we were able to get back above 112 as a first step. Second step, we were able to go through the weekly open. Now the third stage or third step, we have to take out this week high, right? So trying to keep the momentum to the upside. But overall, again, what we discussed today morning pre-London Open, the key level is around 1280 and 13 level, psychological one. So that's how I see the things here. Okay, from the bulls perspective, it's better than it was, but still more is needed to keep the momentum to the upside. Okay, we do have the data 2:15, meaning that there is a 45 minutes more for early candle to be drawn. So most probably, I'm not gonna to trade right immediately after the data. I think that rather combination of the US cash open and then US data, that where we might see that's when we might see the move. There are gonna be also the option expiration, and if we are talking about the option expiration, so it's worth to mention how does it look on euro dollar side, and upside is covered nicely in between 12.95 and 13.20. All right, we do have almost 2 billion, so not that bad, not that bad. So it might be that we will try to at least retest today 1280, and that's what really important is here from the euro dollar bulls perspective. What about the bears? We were discussing the bear situation yesterday with this approach to the post ECB low, taking into consideration closing price, right? So based on this, we hit some stops yesterday, all right, as you can see. So we hit some stops yesterday, right? We are talking about the closing prices. And then we saw late New York, we saw some kind of the profit taking. One can argue that it was British pound related with all this Theresa May stuff, that she had softened a bit her stance and stuff like this. So yeah, it might be, but overall that it's how we can explain. On the other hand, I truly believe it was some kind of the profit taking into the close anyway. Then we had this very positive Tokyo session. I mean, the good Australian number, good Chinese number. So yeah, during the Tokyo session, full risk on mode. We are trying to continue. At the European Open, and yeah, besides the pound, euro dollar, Aussie dollar, they're doing just fine. So from the bears perspective, there is a little bit of the scratch, I would say, here. Once bulls were able to take out this weekly open, right? So now any kind of the pullback back towards this level and towards 12 figure, right? So right now that's the possible demand zone, and I do expect bullish activity around these levels, right? And we were discussing morning the weakness we saw last time. One moment. Yeah, during the morning meeting we were discussing this weakness we saw last time. right? So that's the whole zone over here, and especially the move to the upside. Okay, we took out this over under here, and that's really looks a little bit bullish from the intraday perspective. Of course, it's a far away from calling the bottom on euro dollar, in my opinion, right now. But anyway, short term, what would be very interesting here, to see eventually good US data, or not some kind of the disappointment, but anyway, weakening dollar. That would suggest something that, yeah, temporary bottom might be in, right? Well, we'll see. Still 3.5 minutes to go. For now, I'm looking to buy in between weekly open and this latest weakness on euro dollar. By the way, as you remember, yesterday I've mentioned I was long with hard stop at 11.82 and the low was 11.83.7. That's what I mentioned earlier today, but unfortunately I didn't grab big number of pips, huge number of pips. I'm looking for a pullback and I will try to reload. So yeah, that's how it looks for now. By the way, in the near future, basically we are gonna be able to follow the trade history based on social trading accounts, so we will get back into to this, right? So hopefully it's not gonna be only discussion, education, but education with some handy history, right? Okay, so we are waiting for the number. DAX, actually we are going to get back into the indices during the second part of our meeting after the first break, but DAX did exactly what we discussed earlier today, right? Right from the open straight to the possible supply zone, but we will get back into it as well. Also Aussie is doing well. About the Aussie dollar, I've said a few words yesterday, and also I've mentioned that I see the changes, and yeah, me as a big Aussie bear some time ago, yesterday I would say that the RBA wasn't that dovish. It was the market who was trying to manipulate us more to the downside, but then the budget release, and I think it's I'm not saying that Aussie is gonna to sky high move with everything, but if there are gonna be the smart choice, it might be profitable. Okay, just remember, guys, please, that there is a little bit of delay with this YouTube live streams, and that's the YouTube policy. It's not because of the technical issue. So please check the number on your site as well. I'm gonna to try to publish as soon as I have it. Few more seconds and looks like we got something weak. At least that's how it looks right now based on this first reaction. 129, 175 expectations, and that's the weak weakest side. But there is a big but. So of course the market may want to use it as a good excuse. If they want to push dollar lower, that's the very good excuse. But just bear in mind, just remember, if dollar is gonna be lower right now, it's not because of the number, it's because of the market wants to take some profits or more profits, or want to change some kind of the direction, and we're looking for some kind of the excuse. We were discussing this, why we may try to change the direction yesterday and the last week. So it's not because of the weak ADP, right? So if we are gonna to see the lower levels. Anyway, just from the FX perspective, from the FX market perspective, guys, if you are gonna to watch and trade Friday non-farm payrolls, right? Just please remember, as a FX trader, right now you are not trading the headline unless you've got very fast algo. You are trading the earnings, weekly average. Earnings, that's what you are trading. Average hourly earnings. Not weekly, sorry. Confused with UK data. Average hourly earnings, that's what you are trading as a FX trader. Devil is always in details, okay? Because we can get weak headline, we can get what we can get? We can get weak unemployment rate and monster average hourly earnings in favor of the workers, and the initial reaction might be to the downside for dollar, but when the rest of the market will realize what the real data is, they may easily change the direction and you are gonna be trapped most probably. So again, please be careful on Friday. All right, we may see few front runners. What I mean by that, we get actually from the intraday perspective, from the day trading, we get this weak number, and if we are gonna to check the calendar and we see that, okay, ISM non-manufacturing is the expectations are weaker, all right, and then the previous one, and it's quite big difference. So let's push the dollar lower, right? And the rest will observe what is going on. They will wait for ISM. ISM will be weaker. The street will start to sell dollar, and the big guys who already were front runners, they will have the opposite side, so they are going to be able to take some profits from earlier shorts, right? You know what I mean? So that's how you have to think about it. There is some activity on the pound. But not yet on euro dollar. It's good. I would like to see the pullback. Right? I want to see a little bit lower levels. Any kind of the spike would be good. We have some kind of the consolidation, and if we will try to make the double down here based on this consolidation, I'm not gonna take the, I'm not gonna take the shadows into consideration, just opening and closing levels. So if we are gonna to double, meaning that we may finish the business, and I'm gonna to, in the near future, I'm gonna to explain what is a finished and unfinished business. You're more than welcome to join. We are gonna to do it on a separate webinar, or during the separate webinar, so no worries. If we are gonna go straight from here, most probably I'm not gonna be able to join the party here. Okay, they may try to use this weakness. Oh, so it looks like they're trying to use the previous over under already as a yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's have a look what we are gonna to get eventually here. So they are using the previous over under as a support right now. Let's have a look if it's gonna work their way or how they wanna to trade it. I would prefer to see the lower levels. It's easy, it's easier to trying to buy the dip. And yes, if there is anything I wanna trade right now, it's probably only euro dollar, right? I'm not gonna touch dollar yen before the US cash open. And to be honest with you, pound, yeah, the thing with the pound is that the softer Theresa May stance yesterday, right, and the invitation, the cross-party talks, Brexit talks, invitation for Corbyn, guys, if you think that Corbyn is gonna do something, in that case, most probably you are totally wrong. He will let her, how to say it in a proper manner, but you know what I mean, meaning that yeah, he may be very gentle, and yes, he may say thank you for this invitation, yes, we can have a talks, but you know, there are politicians, so he can agree only when he gonna to feel that it's in his interest, and he can win something based on that, right? If he can destroy politically Theresa May, so that's the only way. So, and if we are gonna to add the most important PMIs out of UK is services, PMI, the number is for services, then there was a very weak outcome today. I wouldn't be surprised. I've mentioned before the data, right? We had morning this pre-London Open. I've mentioned I'm not gonna be surprised because of the unfinished business. And again, I like this approach. I'm not gonna be surprised to see retest of 130 on the cable. Right now, what is going on? Right now, that's what I've mentioned before. Why pound is a little bit softer. There was a combination of the stop count based on this rising trend line through the tops plus weak PMI, right? So we saw attempt to move it lower. Of course, pound is trying to bulls here, trying to take the advantage of the weaker dollar. Also seasonality is in favor of the pound. We spoke about that last week. Few words, right? In that case, I know we are trading dollar right now because it's a dollar related data. But looks like we may try to draw the scenario we have here on Euro Pound, and we discussed it earlier today. So there is nothing on the agenda right now at 2:30 CT. And the pound is trying to take over. Euro dollar going a little bit lower, pound is trying higher. That's bears on euro dollar are not giving up yet. Interesting situation is on the dollar index DXY. So let's switch for a second for the very short term chart. Okay, that's the 10-minute chart. Okay, and taking into the consideration where we are, looks like the bulls are a little bit tired here. All right, so my way of thinking, that's why I'm waiting for euro dollar pullback. I think that we may see some bounce on the dollar index, and we may try to create this head and shoulders over here. So in the simple translation, I'm waiting for the levels around the weekly open and a little bit lower down towards the figure. And I'm going to switch to smaller time frame to try to find good entry, right? So I may try to find the entry based on the 5 minutes, 3 minutes, or 1 minute chart. All right. So let's get back to the platform. And it's nice looking supply candle, right, on the euro dollar. Oy. Pound sky high, trying again. After the break, we are going to check the hourly close within the majors. And at some point during the second part of our meeting, we are going to switch to indices. So yeah, it's gonna be a few words about the DAX as well. So, as we have a few minutes, let's talk about the Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar is fighting right now around the supply related to the RBA yesterday, but it's, as you can see, it's a very nice reversal over here. We are discussing the possibility of the positive Aussie outcome to the end of the day yesterday. There was no good pullback trying to join the party to the upside over the course of the Europe session. So maybe we are going to get something during the New York session. That might be excuse. Still the falling trend line as a possible supply, right? I would love to see retest of this lower orange zone around 70.65, but cannot rule it out that we are going to start to rise after the retest of 85.80, right? So trying to explain both zones. The first one over here, this zone over here, right? It's a place where we saw latest Aussie weakness, right? Yesterday. So that was the RBA bounce after the budget. It was too clear double bottom over here not to take out the stops. stops, retail sales as a good excuse to trap sellers, right? So that's the latest weakness. But if we are trading this double bottom instead, the top, over, under, to the left, so that's why these two zones looks really, really good from the Aussie long perspective. Okay, there is a chance for deeper pullback here. So Aussie looks good versus USD. Aussie looks good versus the neighbor, versus Kiwi dollar. It's gonna be hard to see deeper pullback towards 0350 if we are trading around 105, right? From the higher time frame perspective, that's what we discussed today, yesterday, right? Let's have a look again what we have. We escaped, and yeah, as you can see, the zone over here, if we would like to clean some stops to the downside, that would be ideally the retest of that zone. And to be honest with you, I'm not in a rush. As we discussed this particular cross, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, we discussed that taking into the consideration the higher time frame, right? What we were trading, so I'm gonna to repeat it. That was some kind of the range. If we are gonna to exclude the stop to the downside, if we are gonna to exclude, okay, what I wanted to exclude, let me show you. If we are gonna to exclude these stops, and if we are gonna to exclude these stops, right? So overall, we can talk about this type of the consolidation, right? And it's around 10-figure consolidation. Okay, so if that's the bottom, then top of that range is a target, right? So we are talking about the 10 figures to the upside against 1 figure to the downside eventually. Of course, if we are not gonna to chase the market, if we are gonna wait patiently for 0350, 03 level, right? Still here is the risk reward ratio is not gonna be that great here. But I do believe that some kind of the pullback we are gonna to get, and there should be possibility to try to join the rally here. We discussed also Aussie Swiss franc, and also I published the chart yesterday on TradingView, and we hit top of the entry range with the 5 or 7 pips drawdown, meaning that we spoke yesterday about in between 70.50, 70.00 psychological level. So yesterday low was 70.43, today's low was 42. So the top of the demand zone been hit, and we are approaching possible supply, right, based on the range we've seen here. So it also looks good. And to be honest with you, from the medium term perspective, if you want to compare Australian dollar versus US dollar or Australian dollar versus Swiss franc, yeah, from the swap points perspective, macro perspective, at least for now, unless it's not gonna be end of the world, so then it would be safe haven. Swiss franc would be safe haven, but I wouldn't say we are approaching the end of the world. So out Swiss franc might be the smarter choice here. All right, let's have a look. Maybe we will find some kind of the excuse to try to try to short pound. Trying to, yeah, we failed here. Let's have a look what we have. That's the data. I would go that way. Okay, so we might see some kind of the failure over here, especially this upper shadow. But that's 15-minute chart. I need to see something more here. Maybe if we are gonna at the top of the hour, if we are gonna to close under the trend line, that might be, and below, that's what they are trying to hold over here. Okay, 1 second. That's for sure some kind of the demand wasn't being tested after the breakout. And if we are gonna to get back below, yeah, that might be the case. If we are going to get back below this level, that's where we are trying to hold right now. Okay, so meaning that this candle would be great if it looks like this 15 minutes on euro dollar, right? Up long upper shadow supply, negative body, but in that case we have still like 22 minutes to go. This one, this candle, once it's gonna be broken to the downside, if we are gonna break through and close below this candle, that might be treated as a hidden supply. We don't have to know right now if it's a supply or no. Once we are awaiting some kind of the development, we wanna know later on. Once we get lower, retest, we know where our entry might be. That's the thing. We don't have to front run, especially if we can't move the market. I've mentioned about the euro dollar option expiration. It's worth to mention also that we are in the middle of the road. If we are talking about the dollar yen, we do have almost 2.5 at 111.15, and we have almost 2 billion at 12. So we are more or less in the middle of the road between the bands. We do have 71 on Aussie dollar, 1.3 billion. So that's option expiration for today. What is interesting that there are not big numbers to the downside on euro dollar. That's telling us something. All right, we are approaching the first break today. So enjoy your time, coffee, tea, non-alcoholic drinks, guys, and I'm gonna be back after a short break around the top of the hour.
It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, light Forex social trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.
Hi, good afternoon. It's the second part of today's meeting. Piotr here, and this is we are on the Light Forex Global YouTube channel. We are covering New York Open. During the first part, we get weaker than what market was expecting ADP report. But again, as a FX trader, you are not looking for a headline. You are looking for earnings. That's why you have to be extremely careful the upcoming Friday when non-farm payroll is going to be released. So again, not to react to the headline, but always devil is in details. So in that case, earnings, that's what we should as FX traders focus on. Okay, yeah, we do have dollar strength right now. So overall, we saw attempt to sell the dollar after ADP, but overall looks like, especially with euro dollar, dollar is the winner here. We're trying to break lower on the pound as well, and that's what we discussed in the first part. It's still trying to hold the ground over here and here, right? So I'm not in a rush right now to try to sell pound, especially this breakout candle, right? Being retested 2 hours later, right? Right now we are trading to what we've seen to the left with this candle, right? So that's why the yellow zone over here is quite important. That's what I mentioned first during the first part of our meeting today. But anyway, at some point, if dollar will get strength, as I mentioned morning during the pre-London Open, I'm not gonna be surprised to see them trading lower towards the figure, towards the psychological level, towards the 130. I'm not saying today, overall over the course of the week. Nothing extraordinary is going on right now, so we do have some time. We are awaiting later today official oil inventories, EA, and that's what we get yesterday from private one. That's what we get yesterday. So let's have a look, as we have some time. Let's have a look what is going on oil side. And here again, this place highlighted here, I was supposed to at some point when we were like this, I thought that might be some kind of the head and shoulders formation, right? We are watching. They took out the high, So it was the cancellation of this possible head and shoulders formation. It might turn out to be the left shoulder, especially from the higher and lower time perspective, right? If we are going to take into consideration that what we saw yesterday, or closer to the end of the last week, no, wait, Monday, yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What we saw this week, it was a breakout of this original consolidation, right? So we made the measure, and yesterday when there was a hesitation, it was right at the top of the possible target, right? So we moved the same size as the original range, right? So, and it was at some point logically trying to, the bears were trying to stepped in, right? Unfortunately for bears, we moved higher. Now, if we are going to make another measure of the original size of this consolidation and put it higher, the final target looks like it's around the green box, and green box is represented by the daily chart, right? And that's the possible supply from daily chart on oil. Also, it's in relation to the possible final target related to the inverted head and shoulders over here, right? So that's quite interesting from the oil perspective. I'm gonna to monitor, especially after today's EA, what's going to happen on the oil front. It's quiet if we are talking about the President Trump Twitter in relation to the oil, but at some point closer to 64, yeah. If oil hit 64, it might be the activation of the President Trump Twitter, right? What I noticed lately was that if something was like with dollar, right, that is too strong, or with oil that is too strong previously, it was within the logical either supply on dollar or supply on oil, right? So looks like Mr. President Trump advisors are watching the market and telling, yeah, dear Mr. President, right now it's time to tweet something. We are in a logical place. Yeah, that's how it might, how it might be. I don't know. I would be very careful here. With oil. I'm not saying it's not gonna work, right? But yeah, it might turn out that we are gonna see this even 64 before bigger profit taking. If you are still in, you wanna see the break of the Tokyo low, right? You wanna see this break of this Tokyo low. So that's highlighted head and shoulders, so we can clean it up. We discussed it a few times already, so we don't need it anymore. What I'm afraid of, and it happened to me on oil 2 or 3 times, it's also on the trading view like half a year ago. I had a good view on oil, but of course they used EEA as a opportunity to manipulate the more market, and it might turn out it's gonna be similar today, meaning that maybe the 60, 80 or even 60 level, we are gonna to hit that level, but after first strong stop hunting to the upside, might be the case. But for sure, you want to see the break of this Tokyo low for continuation. Okay, there is a finally move on the pound. Euro is moving as well, but euro, we know what we are waiting for. Levels below the weekly open. We have 2 or 3 possible levels. So first is related to this yeah, London activity. So that's the first one. We do have some stops below probably. I do prefer, that's what we discussed earlier today, I do prefer round numbers around 12, right? We'll see. So during the whole day, or maybe not whole day, during the Tokyo and during the London session, we did 180 degrees turnaround if we are talking about the what was going on this week, meaning that Monday open, Tuesday we went lower, late Tuesday and whole today we retest this week high, and there is a rejection, at least for now. Also, I've mentioned morning from the bears perspective, right? What bears may look for, if they are gonna at some point feel the blood, they may try to, you know, use the opportunity to create another long upper shadow, trying to turn negative. But today it looks good because we are, on the other hand, from the bulls perspective, we are trying to create swing low over here, and it's within the logical, because you know you can create the swing low and you can create the swing low within the logical level, and that's how it looks here on euro dollar, right? That it's a swing low within the logical zone, right? I'm talking about this post ECB low. And what we discussed morning, that first possible demand, of course, is gonna be around weekly open if we are gonna to take it out. We took it out, so it might be that we are gonna to stop and try to, because it's a weekly open, right? It's quite important level. That there are gonna be some bullish activity around this level, but I would like to see the retest of the yesterday high, yesterday open, right? But it might happen that we are going to see the test tomorrow. It might be. Just a reminder that we are still waiting for ISM. Yeah, it's getting a little bit better on crude side here right now. Okay, so we may slowly switch to indices, and based on this I'm gonna to try to use the opportunity, because the details, as I mentioned, it's gonna be provided during the webinars in the webinar room. But I would like to share with you the basic stuff I'm using, right? Of course, it's like the naked bone, and then you have to add based on what type of the trader you are, what's your behavior, stuff like this. You have to add your stuff. But my basic stuff, my basic approach, it's really easy to understand, and at some point in the past was very popular. It's based on the possible supply and demand levels. There are 4. I love to trade two of them. There are four setups. I'm going to show you briefly right now before we switch to indices. And the first one, of course, I'm going to explain in a second what is important as well. The first one is going to be Riley based drop. Right, that's how I see the things. So there was a base, market started to think higher prices, another base, market rethink no, it's too expensive, right, and then sold off. So it's a Riley based drop, and the thing which is important for me, not everyone is talking about that, that this sell off took out latest demand, right? So we made the new low compared to the latest base latest demands, right? And then of course the easiest setup is that we have to retest this supply, right? And theoretically we should react and move lower, right? That's the basic of this setup. Of course, it's very important on which time frame we are, what is going on higher time frame to the left side and stuff like this. But these details we are gonna to discuss in the near future, as I mentioned. So Riley based drop where the sell off is taking out at least the latest base, latest demand, right? Quiet opposite, it's gonna be drop based Riley, and of course the same stuff, the Riley, right, has to take out at least the latest supply, and again depends on the time frame, depends on what is going on the left side. I'm gonna to decide what I want to do, right? And again, theoretically I need to see something like this, then I'm waiting for a eventually pullback, right, into the demand zone, and we should see the reaction, right? There are few very important abbreviation into what we were talking here, but it's time is needed to explain in details, right? Because sometimes the zone, the latest, in that case latest supply, right, because base drop, so there was some kind of the supply, right? To activate this demand to the downside, we need to take out latest supply, and sometimes this supply works as a demand, right? But this type of the combination I would like to see, like it's some kind of the manipulation. So this drop we are gonna to see on a smaller time frame, where on the bigger time frame we already see that we are trying to hit the demand, but that's something I'm gonna to explain in details in the future. So drop based Riley, earlier was Riley based drop, and the last two, and I don't like them, to be honest with you. I'm not trading very often this stuff. Is either Riley base continuation, but I'm not, if I'm trading, I'm not trading the breakout. I'm waiting for another consolidation and pull back to this base, right? And opposite, drop, base, drop. Again, not sell stop to try to join the market, but patiently waiting for a retest of the zone over here. So that's 4 setups, but the rest it's a basic, right? The rest depends on what kind of the trader you are, what's your behavior, because you know it's pretty obvious that it's almost not possible to trade the same way for someone else. And again, the same, I'm not gonna trade the same way you guys are trading, right? So it's simply not possible. It's, yeah. So we have a basic, and the rest I'm gonna to tell you, I'm gonna to share with you what's my approach, but it's not necessarily it has to work with you. So in that case, the details into the basic stuff has to be your own. Details have to be your own. Okay, so DAX. What we were discussing yesterday, two scenarios, and this very bullish one, I mean short-term bullish one, is trading right now. So we were discussing that either this unfinished business is going to hold the market, and for some time it really was like this into the close yesterday, but then the very positive tone during the Tokyo session, risk on, breakout to the upside. And when we were checking the DAX before the Frankfurt Open, we were somewhere here, and I told you that most probably because of where we are, there is not gonna be look back, it's gonna be straight to the supply, right? Based on the rising trend line and based on the horizontal supply, right? So that's what happened. We connected the tops on the daily green always. We connected the tops plus supply based on this breakdown, taking into the consideration opening and closing levels, not shadows. And there you go. But there was no stop hunting yet. So I think there is some kind of the consolidation, so maybe bullish flag, and they will try to probably push it a little bit higher from here. And that's what we no. Yeah, so probably that's the scenario we have here. Another attempt to go higher, and then eventually rejection. Taking into the consideration all this stuff related to what happened during the Tokyo session, plus, yeah, you know, the front page of the Financial Times that, yeah, we are gonna to have a deal in between US and China, but then the small letters, but there are plenty of unresolved issues. So yeah, anyway, still it's a early, very early April, so beginning of the month, beginning of the new quarter. So all these pension funds, they got still the money, and they still have we still have a chance to see the pump to the upside, right? We'll see. Overall, at some point, if we are going to see the break to the upside on euro dollar, then the bulls on the DAX may stop, and it's not gonna our way, right? Euro is getting stronger, so let's make a pullback on DAX. Okay, USA, that's how the DAX looks like, and the possible demand, first possible demand, is where we saw the breakout yesterday, right? So we were trapped at some point, and we were discussing yesterday. So right now, the first possible demand around 11,780, and then down towards 7,020. And I do prefer this 7,020, and I explained already during the morning meeting. Then once we are gonna at 720, I do expect bullish activity, but then move back towards 11,800. It might create the challenge and that's where I do expect some bearish activity, and that's where the final decision, in my opinion, is gonna to be made here, right? That's how it looks on the DAX from my perspective. That's my view only. Then Nasdaq, and that's what we are gonna to monitor after the open. I'm not sure if looks like we may even try today to hit levels around the high, right? The only thing which may cancel any bullish declaration is the move back below 7,500 based on the chart I'm using. So for now, the yellow box, the zone as a demand zone ahead of the continuation to the upside. So we may see the shakeout to the downside right after the open, and if we are going to hold these levels, 7,600 plus might be on the cards here, right? So we have like 3 minutes to US cash open, so let's wait and see what is going to happen. Let's prepare ourselves. Last check on the so let's try to make the measure where we are going at least. And yes, plus stops, and we might be trying to touch the yellow zone with stops. And pound is trying breakdown as well. So we broke through this zone. Okay, we are here, so we have to be careful here, and that's, we may lower a bit, to the bottom of this candle, more or less something like this. Okay, so that's how it works with the third touch, stops, and we're trying to turn around. So watching carefully both here. And let's prepare this Nasdaq chart. I'm going to watch first 5 minutes range. One moment. This scenario has to be cancelled. Just a reminder, and I'm gonna explain within the webinar, during the webinar in the future, why I'm watching first 5 minutes, how I get it, from whom, from where, the 5 minutes range. There are two possibilities to watch 5 or first 30 minutes. From the day trading perspective, 30 minutes, in my opinion, is a little bit too long. Okay, 10 seconds to go. and cash market is open. So that's the opening level, it's not gonna change. That's the top for now, and that's the bottom for now. All right. No, it's even lower, at least. The particular shares, I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not trading particular shares. Also from the day trading perspective, right now I'm trading very rarely indices. A little bit more often from the some kind of the swing trading perspective. And as I mentioned before, if we are talking about the day trading, pure day trading, I do prefer three: euro dollar, dollar yen, pound dollar. Maybe lately not that much pound dollar because of the highest activity right now, but really euro dollar, sometimes euro yen. Majors overall, I like, yeah, euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar yen. Sometimes Aussie. But again, what is good for me not necessarily might be good for someone else, and what is good for someone else not necessarily might be good for me. That's a natural thing. So you should trade what you feel it's somehow not killing you, let's say that way, right? Meaning that you don't have to be nervous for a whole day. But the approach I'm doing, right, with this Riley based drop, drop based Riley, Riley based Riley, drop based drop, actually, to be honest with you, is working with every market, right? Of course, with the futures like indices, like oil, you may add volume, right? But if we want to talk volume on FX based on the futures market, well, it's not gonna work that way. Futures market is just 5-7% of total turnover during the day, so you cannot rely really on the volume from futures market if we are talking about the FX. So that's why I'm just some kind of the price action, some kind of the patterns, and sometimes single candles, and the overall picture where we are. It might be the case that we will try to do something like head and shoulders over here, but we cannot call it head and shoulders. It's head and shoulders at top formation, and we are not at the top. Consider what we see to the left side, we are far from the top. But yeah, something similar to head and shoulders, that's what we might use, but not pure head and shoulders. Oh, right, another low here, and yeah, still 15 seconds. So they may even move above the cash entry, but overall till now doesn't look super great from the bulls perspective. But the higher the shadow on the 5 minute, the better it might be treated as a test. Let's have a look what we have. Yeah, it might be treated, look, it might be treated as a stop hunt to the pre-open consolidation. So it might be the test. And yeah, so I would say that the open and high from the cash market is gonna be under pressure very, very soon. That's how it looks for now, right? So we should hold during the retest. We should hold this level over here. That might create over under. We'll see. At least we have reaction here. Okay, there is a first development and is on the pound side. Pound is weakening and is weakening a lot compared to what happened. So next bullish activity I do expect around daily open. Depends on where we are gonna to close the hour, right? Just a reminder, we are going for a break next 4 minutes. Then we have two announcements. First is PMI, second is ISM, and option expiration at the top of the hour, right? If we are gonna to if bears are going to manage to close below current levels, around current levels, below, let's say 31.50, 31.40, that's gonna be quite a significant development. And in that case, we are gonna to look around and try to make some intraday call here to the downside. Yeah, we're trying at least the reaction, but the supply is trying to be active as well here. That's nice. So in that case, once we are gonna to break the level here, we may open, we may expose this 7,500. That's what we discussed at the very beginning. I would prefer to see the weakness into the close. That would be something better. Euro dollar testing weekly open, another development here. Yeah, as I mentioned, they're trying to hold this over-under pattern. It's just 3-4 points right now. I think that may try to, even if we are going to see lower levels, it might be that they are going to try to hit some stops to the downside. There is a possibility to try to hit some stops to the upside. I mean, to the upside, at least stops, right? Still believe that it might be under pressure, but yeah, these upper shadows here. Let me have a look if we have any news Brexit related. And there is no good news based on the Reuters. There is not good news from Italy. Of course, it's without the names, just the government sources. I hate this stuff because they can ask me and say that it's a government sources as well. But anyway, it looks like Italy is gonna to have a higher deficit in 2019 GDP to 2.3 from 2%. That's not necessarily euro positive. I would say that's rather euro negative. But in this crazy market, it might be treated as a positive sometimes. Let's have a look if we have anything from Theresa May. Oh, 4 minutes ago. Looks like the Chinese delegation arrives for 9th round of face-to-face talks at US Trade Representative Office. There is a Vice Premier Liu and there is a light hibher. All right. Anything from Downing Street? Finally, we have some activity from the Donald Trump Twitter account. Nothing from Theresa May, at least I can't see anything. Alright guys, so it's time for break. Next 4 minutes we've got the PMI and then at the top of our option expiration and ISM. So yeah, have a great time with tea, coffee, non-alcoholic drinks, and let's get back after a short break around the top of the hour.
It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, light Forex social trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.
Yes, that's the third and the last part of our today's meeting. What we get is the very weak services ISM, and that's what we discussed previously. There was no front running, it was, I would say, rather trying to hold dollar, but right now we on euro dollar we retested the weekly open, and right after the data announcement we gapped up this quite significant gap. Yeah, we may try to run away from here, so we retest this both weekly open demand based on hourly. Actually it doesn't look we did everything on the 15-minute chart, and I'm not quite happy that we didn't. Anyway, I'm gonna wait still. There is a chance we are gonna to see a little bit lower level, maybe, I don't know how it might be done, we'll see. Just a small reminder, our next meeting is tomorrow again, around New York Open, and before our meeting 1:30 p.m. CET time, there is a ECB monetary policy meeting minutes. So that's the report related to the latest ECB meeting. Yeah, that might be interesting. So let's try to summarize our today's meeting. In regards to Nasdaq, yeah, that was quite, for me it was quite obvious, right? Before the break we were here. And I mentioned that based on the price action there was a stop hunting to the downside. I do expect some stops above the cash open. That's what happened. Then of course it's a different story, weak data, and now the question is what market is going to get. Are we going to be happy because of the weak data, so meaning that Fed, which is data dependent right now, will do nothing, all right? So no hike. So the question is, if the market is going to trade the thing that bad news is a good news, or finally we are going to get back to reality and we are going to trade bad news as a bad news, right? So that's quite interesting, and from the daily perspective it might turn out, that's a little bit of light in the tunnel for the bears, right? It might be that we just took out the stops from the most recent high, and if we are gonna to manage to close below 7,500, that might be significant development here, but again it's gonna be possible only if the market will turn into bad news is a bad news. That might be the case, right? If we are here, let's have a look Dow Jones, because we spent some time discussing Dow Jones yesterday as well. And especially as I mentioned that Monday close was bad, was bearish. We had the rejection. We hit the possible demand. That's what we discussed again. We attempt to break higher and we did it. We hit more stops today. But if we are gonna to close lower, then again, might be that we are gonna to take out this high from the 19th of March over here, and we'll try to attack the Monday low over here, right? Well, very interesting how they wanted to trade this stuff out. So suddenly, after the whole Tokyo risk on session, half of Europe risk on session, we get two poor US numbers and we are awaiting EEA, and if the crude is gonna to be hit, then the most probably Dow Jones is gonna to be hit harder, and it may turn out that what started as a good day may finish as a very bad day. How does it sound? But let's try not to front run again. That's the golden idea. Not try to front run if you cannot move the market. Anyway, still looking to buy euro dollar, still looking to buy but lower. Watching pound, and the thing is, because of the weak US data, I may try to switch to euro pound. So instead of buying dollar versus pound, I might try to buy euro versus pound, especially taking into the consideration this manipulation, possible manipulation over here. So it looks like they're trying to draw the plan we were discussing, and that might be the thing of this. Because why I think is a manipulation, because that's the latest weakness. That's the place where from where we took out the stops, then we managed to get above this right level. So that's how I see the things. Unfortunately, very closely to the possible supply, so we are trapped a bit here. But because of this a little bit pound weakness, wait, let's have a look different way, early. Looks good now. But we know that with pound, any positive comment and we are again lower. So tight stops in play. I'm going to monitor this euro pound. We have a supply over here, 61 to 68. And we are awaiting official EEA crude inventories. But that's going to happen right after our meeting, as we are summarizing the things happened today. I've mentioned before that it might turn out we are trying to draw the head and shoulders over here. So we were reacting into the supply. We took out this supply as a stop hunting, and we are looks like we want to try to retest this level, and that might be my short approach here. What I'm afraid of is the only thing that I'm afraid of is the London fix and manipulation into the London fix. So I may try to approach this dollar yen even lower, but a little bit later. Yeah, that might be the case for me. Or if we are going to get upper shadow, full manipulation. What's gonna be my target? Weekly open. In that case, we are talking about 42, but from now stop above. Not good from risk reward perspective. Let's wait and let's see what's going to happen a little bit higher. Maybe 45. Then the stop 55, 10 pips, and then weekly open that's gonna be like 3 or 4 to 1. That's a little bit better. That's a little bit better. Channel is not anymore. Let's see. But yes, I'm looking to sell something 44 or a little bit above 44. There is a little bit of negativity right now, and the EA release might be the, the last puzzle here. The same. I'm positive to here in Aussie, but in case we are turned negative on the indices, we may see a little bit sell-off, and then we may see the retest of the levels we were discussing lower towards either the first zone or the second zone over here. So that's good. Suddenly we may see euro dollar doing what it was expected to do. Yeah, that would be quite nice over here or a little bit lower. Plenty of positive things going around. But let's have a look what we have on the Twitter. If there is any Donald Trump activity. No. Let's have a final check on dollar index. All right, so we may try to draw this head and shoulders, like trying to 1-to-1 maybe, like this, 1. Oops, and 1. Yeah, that would be great, meaning that we may see some little lower levels on euro dollar and a little bit higher on dollar yen. Okay, I can't complain. So this head and shoulders might be in place still. So like a final push to the upside, some stop hunting That's what we already witnessed with pound dollar, right? Let me show you what I'm talking about. It was like the final push over here 2 days ago, Monday. Do you remember this one? And then, so I do expect some similar stuff maybe here on dollar yen. A little bit push lower on euro dollar. Why not? Good low. This is completely different what Financial Times published earlier today on the chat window. Not yet there. Manipulators. All right, looking to buy euro dollar below 26, better down towards psychological 112, so round number. Not sure about the pound dollar, instead watching euro pound. Looking to sell around current levels dollar yen, watching indices, especially watching Nasdaq around 7,500 based on my chart. Oil. Within the next 10 minutes there is a EA news release, official inventories, we'll see. I think we might see a little bit higher level, hitting 63.80, 64 based on the chart I'm using here. Aussie, waiting for a deeper pullback. Either 70.85, 70.80, or even lower, so towards 70.65. So yeah, that's the thing I'm monitoring right now. Might be nice setup here. No, but I would like to see higher prices on oil. There is some stop hunting and bounce into the range. So we took out the Tokyo low, back to the inside the range. Let's have a look what we have on Euro Yen. There is a still space here. Still space here. We are talking about the 21st of March low, 125.68. And if we are gonna to do that way, that's straight to the pip, as you can see. So it might be small buy dips, but with negative sentiment, jeez, hard to buy. That's the possible demand over here. So I'm going to watch 24.85. But yeah, if I'm looking to sell dollar yen, it's hard to buy euro yen. So it's better to buy this euro dollars eventually deep, if seen. And yeah, we might see that soon. Let's see. Alright guys, that's it from my side today. Thank you very much. Don't be trapped. Don't try to chase the market. Don't try to be front runner, meaning if you cannot move the market, wait first for the market move, and then if it was the move to the higher, wait for the pullback to buy deep, and if there was a move lower, wait for the rally to sell into that rally. All right. We've got the meeting tomorrow again at 2 p.m. CET. You are more than welcome to join. Have a great rest of the Wednesday. See you again tomorrow. Have a good one. Take care. Bye bye.
It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, Light Forex Social Trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.